Hello, hello, hello? Hello? Is it working? I tried to make sure everything was working today, but I just wasn't having a good time. Stream is always gonna be a little bit scuffed while I'm getting used to it. Why does it not show me chat now? I don't... Chat. There we go. Okay. I can see chat. Okay, cool. Live chat. There we go. Hey, I can see chat. Yay. Okay, exciting, exciting. Hi, hello. My name is Hayana Mulla, and today I am going to be... I'm gonna be sharing some opinions I have, which we'll see how it goes, because opinions can get a little bit dodgy at times. I had a mild issue in which I was gonna make the tier list on the actual tier list creator, but the amount of... Be careful if you're gonna use like if you are in fact going to use websites like that, because the only way it would let me log in is with is if I logged in with my Twitter account, and all of the permissions were like free to follow and unfollow accounts for you, free to post for and delete posts and engage with posts for you. I'm not having something being able on my account to delete my posts or something authorized. That's just not happening. So, yeah, I'm currently in a situation where I'm just setting up the tier list myself. So, it's gonna be a little scuffed today, as per usual. As per usual, I do love my scuff. You guys know that. So if I have to shift or change anything on the dot, then that's why. Because I really should have read that earlier, but I did not. Well, I just figured it would be fine, and I spent more of the time investing into actually, like... That was loud. No. I spent most of the time actually investing into, like, getting stuff ready for stream. And, yeah, so... Okay. I knocked my gamer button. How dare I? Hello, Cookie Gamer. Hello, Maple Leaf VT. And yes, Zara, you're still here. It is small cow time. Well, technically big cow time, because small cow is maybe making an appearance, who knows. But for sake right now, me, big cow, is here. Which is excellent. So I need to reconfigure this. Which means I need to do this. No, okay. That isn't the way I can do it. Right. Game capture, maybe? Sorry, I've now got to figure out how to redo this because... Oh! Game decided no work. Not thing. Game. Game decided no work. I mean, this decided no work for me. Okay. Why are you not working? Good lord. Loving the technical difficulties. Absolutely adoring them. Excellent. But if we get them out of the way early, it should be fine. If we get them out of the way early. You know, I started stream late for the exact reason of, hey, I had it all set up, and then it decided, no, you're not gonna have it set up. That's, no, bad. And I was like, okay, well, guess I'm not having this set up today. That's fun. But yes, please do be careful with stuff like tier maker, because they might just be like, hey, yeah, you know that thing you were gonna do? Yeah, so we won't let you do that because we will delete posts from your account. Which is not fun, blatantly not. Okay, I got it working. That's fine. Then we should be able to switch over whenever, but I basically want to spend the first half of the bit of today's stream just saying, hello! I want to establish some ground rules and say it will be a little bit scuffed because I'm going to have to drag stuff in and like edit it from there, but we'll work with it, Got my trusty apple juice. I probably should have got some water. Give me a sec, I'm gonna go grab some water. Wow. Hello, right? I have some water now, which means I am considerably more healthy than I was 5 minutes ago. So, right. I would like to establish some ground rules for today's stream, which isn't something that I frequently do myself. It's usually a case of, we established the ground rules of just don't be a dickhead. But we're gonna establish a couple of more ground rules today. Couple more. Okay. Number 1. All of these webtoons, all of these manhwa or webtoons are available exclusively from Tapas. I was going to include webtoon, but seeing as I am doing Isekai love manhwa, I decided to do it that way. I will at a later point do a webtoon romance, but it might take some time. And that's okay. We have loads of these tier lists that I want to do. Was that 1 or 2? I forgot. Point C. So all of these are going to be on Tapas. These are my opinions. Some of them are quite harsh. Please don't be mad at me if I don't like your favorite manhwa. That is a-okay. I'm just here to say, hey, these are the ones I personally enjoy. And I will explain why I enjoy them and why I don't enjoy them, but it is a case of some of these I remember reading. I definitely read them because I remember the vague outline of the story, but they were very forgettable for a multitude of reasons. Honestly, I don't think we're gonna have many D tiers, honestly. Because I think, like, we're definitely probably not gonna have any E or F tiers. Maybe 1 or 2, and they'll be controversial. But we're not gonna have many because I inherently enjoy manhwa and its tropes. Another point is, manhwa is very tropey. It's super cliched. It is super duper lovesick, ooh woo, like, oh, so romantic, and oh, I'm swooning at the seams, you know what I mean? It's stuff like that. But honestly speaking, you get used to it. It's part of the manhwa experience. Some of these will be otome isekais, which means they're harem games and take on, like, typically a bit of a darker route. So there are going to be I will not be mentioning any of the triggers personally because a lot of them I Some of them I personally skip over, or I personally just kind of skim over. If you intend to read any of these and you are reading on Tapas, all of the content warnings will be at the very top of the first episode when you start reading. Please note that you should be careful and be sensitive to the things that might trigger you. Okay. I will not be mentioning any such content, and if I do, it will be in passing with a trigger warning. Excellent. And of course, finally, these are all have been or are available on Tapas currently. That is where I read most of my manhwa and stuff. I understand that that is somewhat expensive for some people, but it matters to me to support the artists themselves, because as an artist, I understand that shit is hard. And also to the translators and to everyone who works on everything. I will be critiquing some of the art. I will be saying if I do not like a comic for the fact of I don't like the art. I will say that, and I will have genuine critiques about it. That doesn't mean that you can't like the art style either. Please understand, this is all just opinion based. So, in conclusion, A, don't be a dickhead to any of them. Don't send hate to the authors about the story choices they have. A lot of these are Korean translated, and there is a different culture out there. And for free, all of these are on Tapas. Tapas, don't kill me, please. Please. Because I probably will be roasting a few of your Tapas originals. Okay, right. So, are we ready to get into it? I am. I'm certainly ready to get into it. Let's hope this, fingers crossed, making a shift over. Wait, if I can click. There we go. Hi, hello, hi, excellent. Okay, right. So, the way this is gonna work is a little bit scuffed, because I'm gonna have to drag them in as they exist in my folder, which means I'm gonna probably be starting with ones I'm inherently more negative about, because we're going in alphabetical. Okay, right. Actually, I want to start off on a very middle of the road choice. I just need to find it. This is the villainess wants a divorce. As far as manhwa goes, I was around when it was just called Survive as a Hero's Wife, which was the original title for it. This was one of the first manhwa that I personally read. It's good. It's very samey. It's very middle of the road. I don't honestly remember much about it. Now, I'm basing all of my opinions on the first 20 to 40 episodes, which means I know things that happen past that mark for some of these, but I will be exclusively basing my opinions on those episodes, because I think it's important, because that is where the hook is. If you can't get a reader invested in the first 20 to 40 chapters, because they're relatively small chapters, they're not going to come back when it inevitably takes a while to update. So, The Villainess Wants a Divorce is the is a Tapas English title. And this manhwa is sorry. My throat. This manhwa is as middle of the road as it gets. the female lead is smart, but still kind of falls into that kind of damsel in distress kind of cliche that they have now and again. It likes to flip its head from time to time, which is fun. There's from the kids, childhood lovers to teen lovers trope as well. And it's all very standard cliche. Does that mean it's not good? No, it's a great entry into what manhwa is. It's sappy, it's romantic. The romance is somewhat slow burn enough so you don't feel like it's been too rushed. But of course, it's a manhwa, so it's got the tropes and the cliches and the quickened pace to make sure that it matches where it should be. It's cheesy. It's a nice, easy read, and I think if you're looking for a good intro into the series, this can be it for you. Like, you can read this and you would have literally read every okay to standard par manhwa in one. The storyline is good at times. Sometimes it gets a little bit convoluted. As I said, the female lead is pretty good, a little bit damsel in distressy at times, and sometimes strong, but not in the way of being overly strong. There's a couple of romance interests, but they're never honestly taken too seriously, so it never really feels like they're gonna divert. And the male lead is tolerable. It's not like he's like a super jerk, you know what I mean? He has his redeeming qualities and he plays them well. Do either of these characters have a whole lot of depth? No, not really. But it's your standard. It's your standard, very standard, isekai, where it's like, yeah, this we're trying to survive and not to die, because I'm a villainess and I die. That comes up a lot. So for this reason, I'm gonna pretty standardly put the villainess wants to survive. The villainess wants a divorce at like a. It's upside down now, which is not what I meant to do. I'm gonna put it pretty safely at a C. Now, through that explanation, you should be semi-clear with how I'm handling this now. These are very tropey and cliched books, so I will be, let's say, suspending my disbelief. This is a suspension of disbelief meter. If it's F, it means, what are you doing? This is way too wacky. What? If it's S, it's like, this is good. I can suspend my disbelief that this would happen, and it still works. It doesn't take away from it. So that's where we're going with the suspension of disbelief. Now we're gonna start with 50 tea recipes from the Duchess. Now, when I saw that my file was sorting alphabetically, and because this one is the only one with numbers at the start, it was right at the top. That's why I wanted to do a middle of the road first. Because holy shit. This is... I forgot what this was about. I forgot I had even read this. But then when I went to skim over it, like, hey, have I read this? Because I kind of recognize the art style. Yes, I had in fact read it. I don't like this one. And I'll be real with you. It's because everything feels dull. The characters are very one note. The female lead... Okay. Usually when, like, female leads in these have, like, a speciality, it's very interesting. It's, like, something like perfume or magical powers in some way. And you sure that can lend itself to the female lead being OP, but it's how they handle that then tapers out whether or not it's a good manhwa. Her whole thing is tea, and I get it, because tea is good, but, like, it never explicitly makes itself about tea. And that's concerning. Like, her entire shtick is similar to the last one. Oh, hey, I want to survive. I don't want to be stuck here. But, hey, I don't want to die again. But then it's like, her entire thing is tea. And it's like... And then the story kind of goes off the wall at one point, and you're like, whoa, I thought we would... Like, if it was like a slice of life romance with, like, mainly just two people falling in love over, like, repeated afternoon teas and showing that she was different, I'd be fine. But then they try and, like, stuff this kind of, like, weird action plot into it, and, like, another romance interest, and it just feels like a really bland ripoff of literally... It just feels like you took what the essence of manhwa is, like I explained, and just boiled it down to the sharpest one note you could find, and not the good one note. It's a bad note. So this is a bad tasting tea, and honestly, little bit harsh of me here, the anatomy isn't great. I have so much respect for people who put this much effort into all of their scenes and their comics, and I would be able to ignore the fact if the art wasn't as strong, if the story was stronger, or it had some kind of niche it was playing to. But right now it reads as someone's first attempt at a proper comic, and for that reason I did not personally enjoy it. The color palettes are actually pretty good, and the shading is pretty nice. It's just the anatomy feels really awkward at times. So while I really wish I liked it, because the aesthetic and the idea of it seems really nice, it's just not there for me right now. And if for that reason, it's not like I hate it. It's just the romance feels quite forced and, as I said, one note. So for this reason, it's probably gonna be one of our lowest at E tier. I don't want to put anything in F tier just because I don't see the point of putting stuff on F tier. But in the first 20 to 40 episodes, it's very bland. Very bland. Again, these are my dutiful opinions, and I do not want to roast anyone about them, but I understand that it has to be said that it's not amazing. Right. So, a common story of a lady's new life. Okay. Within the first 20 episodes, I fucking hated this. And it wasn't... Okay, fucking hate is a strong term. But I really did not enjoy reading it. I was like, I am wasting my money on this. Because the female lead had, like... was so depressive and disjointed and it really had, like, no strong motivations, even though she really should have. It was like she had given up on life completely. And the male lead is a mute male lead. It has that very saturated color palette that I never really gravitate to either, because I prefer softer colors. He has the piss hair problem, which is when the yellow that is chosen to be blonde looks like piss and looks like neon, which is a frequent color palette choice that it's hard to make look right. And I thought I didn't really like the art style either. Until there is a point in this particular manhwa where they start doing a lot with the lighting. And the lighting shifts, and it really starts shifting the atmosphere. The characters start to take on more interesting and genuinely likable roles. The male lead actually starts to have some semblance of development and not just cardboard cutout who stands there being dragged along. The female lead is actually very, very strong. I'm very surprised at how well they managed to explain depression very gently and how they went about doing that. So, honestly, like, even though necessarily she doesn't ever have anything inherently terrible happen to her for why, you kind of begin to empathize with her. Because I think she is the definition of gifted kid burnout. And that's really hard to express within the first 20 like, pages of something. Because, as I said, they're short chapters, they're not super long. You can chow through a load of them before you actually get somewhere. But as the story progresses, I find myself inherently liking her. And their romance is slow burn, which is something you don't really see. It's slow burn enough, and I don't want them to push it too much farther, because it's gonna turn into a will they won't they, and I don't like that being pulled out for too long. But right now, the pacing is nice. It just had an incredibly rocky start. The extra characters they've been bringing in are really strong. The plot actually has a lot of intrigue. At first I was like, maybe this plot is a little bit too heavy for a romance manhwa. But it's actually starting to pay off now in the later episodes, and the female lead is actually starting to have some growth into the direction of being a formidable opponent. So I think this is genuinely pretty good. I mean, as I said, I want to take these for the first 20 to 40 episodes, and the first 20 are not strong. But when you get to the 40 episode mark, it really starts to shine. And I genuinely think it's good. So for that reason, I want to give this I think I want to give this a beta. I genuinely want to give this a beta, because the art with the when it's toned down by the lighting shifts is phenomenal at times. And I'm not one that's like, as I said literally before, it takes a lot. It takes so much work to do one of these. And I understand that. So I genuinely think, yes, this is a solid beta. It's strong. I like it. It's slow burn, but it's charming, is the best way to put it. So yes, beta. Romance mangas, hey? I'm not familiar with many, but some of these sound very interesting. They are. I genuinely really love it as an actual, like, as a genre type. I have a weakness to them. I really enjoy them. And they're actually, a lot of the time, a lot more charming than you expect them to be. That harsh? No. A Tender Heart, the story of how I became a Duke's maid. Now, you know how earlier I said, in some terms, you have to suspend your disbelief. You have to, at some point, understand the fact that these are from Korea, mostly. South Korea. They're mostly from South Korea, and they have a different culture out there. The popularity polls are different. You need to understand stuff like that. It's not written with our culture in mind. We picked it up because we enjoy them, and that's why they get translated, but inherently, there is a different culture. And I'm fine with that. I am perfectly understandable with that. But I really don't like this one. I really don't like this one. Okay, so this character, she's gone through so many names, how I've read this, because again, I read this back when it was sincerely, I am a Duke's maid. So I don't know what her current name is. If it's still Chloe, that's cool. If it's not, okay. It's not good. It's not good. Right, so she's already reincarnated from the adult body. And she is reincarnated into, like, well, she's like a young adult / old teen in her original life, if I'm remembering this correctly. She's definitely a young adult. And she transforms into the body of a teen maid who is looking after a child. That's fine. Good and all. Because usually with these things, you think, oh hey, it's gonna be cute. They're gonna be like a family dynamic. No, they're not a family dynamic. This is love in the romance type. And this is romance. This kid falls in love with her. And the age gap isn't the thing that's worrying everyone. So not only is this, not only do I can suspend my disbelief that when you reincarnate, you don't at least absorb some of the mentality of being a child. I can suspend that, which is why it doesn't bother me typically with reincarnation or isekai manhwa, because it's fine. But this person actively always addresses the fact that they are older, and also is older than the child they are looking after. It just borders too much on too weird for me, and honestly, I read up to the first season before I just dropped it, because it has pretty art. It's nice. It's just very, very weird. It gets very, very convoluted at times. And then she just runs away. And but it's like phrased as romantic because like there's a time skip, but it just reads so awfully weird, and I do not like it, and it sets all the like, as I said, suspension of disbelief of like isekai characters in general, and if they go into a child's body, they usually like regress a little bit, which it's fine. I've seen that, and I like the regression. People sometimes don't like it because they're like, why is she acting like a kid? But I like it because it shows the fact that the reincarnation had some effect on the mental age as well. This is fucking weird. And I can, again, I can suspend my disbelief for this. This I cannot. This I cannot. This is the part of the scale where I'm like, okay, you've pushed it slightly too far now, and this is weird. Because she is meant to be his caretaker and his nanny. We don't do that around here. We don't do that. Okay. Oh, yeah, nothing sus about any of this. I get it, it's a different culture. Like, South Korean manhwa always kind of play with the idea of isekai, and like, Japan and manga play with the idea of isekai a lot. But it's like, usually it's done to a tasteful standard and not insane. This ain't tasteful. This is just insane. I don't know if it's a translation issue, because I'm pretty sure it got taken off of Tapas as well. But Tapas, I know you had it on there at one point. I know you did. Anyway. Author of My Own Destiny. Let me grab some water before I start going off again on another tangent. But here's the tier list so far. I'd say anything C and above you should read. Anything D and below, if you want to read it, just take care and understand the fact that it might not be good. It might just be we're reading this for the sake of reading this, are we? Okay, right. Okay, we're back on it. Author of My Own Destiny. Where do I start with this one? Okay. The female lead, very strong. She knows her powers. She knows exactly who she is. She knows exactly where she is in the story. She's smart. She's witty. However, she is one of those female leads who falls into the cliche of, I am not actually living this life. I am just playing a part. And the book will go as the book intended to go, even though I'm changing all of this shit. Like, she's so smart and intelligent, but it's only, like, to the recent most chapters that she's starting to understand that maybe, just maybe, she acknowledges the fact that she's having an effect on the story, yet still expects it to play out the same way. And it's that suspension of belief thing, right? You're meant to understand the fact she is smart, but you're also meant to understand the fact that, oh, for plot reasons, she needs to think that this romance between them isn't gonna happen because he has someone he's destined to be with, and they could never, never fall in love with her. But it's not just him she does it with. There's this whole, like, possible found family trope and people who genuinely care about her, but she's so stuck on the idea of vengeance that she does not give it even a second glance, because, oh, it could change the way of the story, not realizing that she's definitely changing the story anyway. It's one of those where I don't mind if I have to suspend my belief a little bit, because she is smart, she is witty, she's sassy as hell, and that's funny. But there's so many relationships in terms of, I mean, like, platonic love, familial love, even, like, romantic love, that she could have just had she actually talked to the people around them and around her and thought, hey, maybe the actions I am taking are going to diverge this strongly from the novel, and maybe that's okay. So, she falls into that cliche. I still like her as a character. I think her name's Fiona. She's still very strong and witty and funny, and she's got that kind of, like, OP power, where, like, she's clearly OP because she's meant to be the final villain, but and she has that, like, plot armor protection, so I don't know where they're gonna go going forward. But right now, it's a pretty okay read. I wouldn't say it's really setting itself apart, because again, you can't even read it for the whole, oh, she came from a shitty family, but now she's got a nice one, because she's actively still in the rejecting phase of that new family. So it's like, well, okay, she's gonna be in this phase a lot longer than most female leads are, and it's more of like a vengeance story at this point, which I don't mind. I like those. I have like a bit of a guilty streak for a vengeance story, and she's not crazy, so that's an upside. She hasn't let her vengeance completely make her insane bonkers yet, so that's good. So yeah, I think it's strong, but I don't know where it'll go without becoming boring. So if they do manage to write it that it comes, like, cyclical and it's actually good, high props to them. I will probably move it into B tier then. But for now, it's just a solid C tier. It's okay. It's not great. It's okay. Let me bonk that a little bit bigger. There we go. Right. What do we have next on the list? Okay, Baroness goes on strike. Right. This one, I do have to put a little bit of a... just a little bit of a warning on. Just a little bit of a warning on. This is one of those ones... Sorry. My throat. Right. This is one of those ones I have to put a warning on, because it does get a bit lewd. It has dirty humor in. That's funny. It's great. I enjoy it a lot. but I do have to put that warning out there that this one gets lewd. Basically, female lead is in a situation where she's on her deathbed, so this is more of a reincarnation one. And she basically just wants to divorce this guy. He's kind of a scumbag. He's just like a mercenary type that just leaves all the time, and she has 2 kids, and she's just not impressed about it, right? And it's basically her going, well, fuck you, I'm gonna stay with you because in this reincarnated version of our lives, I still want to have our children because our children were the light of my life, but after that, I'm divorcing the shit out of you. Lo and behold, because she's sassy and just wants to be lazy and sit around, he starts getting his shit together. And he's actually somewhat cute of a character. He's actually very interesting and very cute. It just seems like he's very bad with his emotions. That's not her fault, though. That's very far from being her fault. And it would be nice if he could just get over this weird inferior complex he has. It's explained why he has it, and like, shitty male leads is usually something that comes up a lot in these. Oh, they were shitty, but now they're good. And he's okay at justifying it, but I'm still not sure about him, because just because he's puppy-like in this life, why was he such a bastard before? Like, what was the one, like, genuinely, if you're gonna read this, read the first couple of episodes, because that will tell you enough about it to know. I like the female lead enough, though. I'm not bored with it yet. This is one of the ones I am actively following week on week currently, because I'm actually really enjoying it. The humor is kind of adult aimed, so it doesn't feel like one of those sappy rom-coms too much. The side characters are very charming, albeit even the manhwa itself forgets about them sometimes and just kind of dismisses off with them and says, well, that plot point is sorted now. She makes up for it. Her character and their romance story makes up for it, and the art is absolutely stunning. There has been a lot of research gone into different dress archetypes for this one, and I genuinely really appreciate it. The anatomy is good, the colours are beautiful. Piss yellow hair isn't as offensive here. And I think, honestly, it's good enough to where I'll put it A tier. Don't go into it expecting like an amazing story, but for what a manhwa is, you want charming characters, and the characters are packed with charm. So, if you're like me and you just like characters and how characters are, you'll enjoy it. Whew. Okay, right. Beware the Villainess. Right. Okay. So this one is Isekai, and the female lead is so fucking funny in this. The female lead is beyond hilarious. It's so funny. The female lead is genuinely so funny. She's crude, she's a bastard, she's sassy, she has so much attitude, she's OP, but it's funny about it. And this is like one of the heaviest comedy ones that we've had. This is like very heavy on the comedy. It's, as I've said, I'm judging this up to the end of season 1, is where I have roughly read to. I don't know if it begins to take itself more seriously. I have heard that after season 1, it does start to take itself more seriously. But as for season 1, this is really fucking strong. As I said, female lead, amazing. What just a great example of a shitty personality still doing good things. The definition of like a neutral good character, and I love her. She's so funny. The art, when it needs to be, is incredibly rendered and pretty, but also super expressive. Like, when it needs to be, this is like stupidly expressive. It's very tropey, it makes fun of itself a lot of the time. This was meant to be the original female lead back here, and it's basically, she's just saying, all of these male leads who are trying to flirt with you are so shitty. I'm going to take them down several pegs. I believe he's the male lead, but he's currently just his butler. He's currently just her butler. He's a wolf boy, for one, so puppy energy as hell, which I love. For 2, we don't frequently see male leads with long hair. Long-haired, like, male leads are so fucking rare. They're always the second lead or the third lead or whatever. All of the side characters are so interesting, and unlike Baroness Goes on Strike, Beware the Villainess does not forget they exist. If they disappear from your view for like 2 seconds, they are causing shit somewhere else. And it's great. It's basically, everyone around me is a little shit, so I'm gonna be a little shit, but I'm going to fix it so that this poor girl doesn't get taken advantage of. And I love it. Even the maid character is so fucking good. So fucking funny. All of the dynamics are great. This is genuinely, like, my first S tier. Like, I cannot praise this enough. This is just read it. Like, story-wise, I'll admit, it's not the strongest. But like I said, in terms of, like, manhwa, it's the character dynamics that really carry the entire book. And honestly, it's starting to build a little bit of intrigue where I've read up to. So honestly, it could start being like a really strong story denominator as well. So it's good. It's genuinely really good. I love it. It's great. There are very few that I will sing the praises of that hard in this list. Can we become family? Right. Okay. I'm gonna sip my water in exasperation because this one is a little bit forgettable too. So, the deal with Can We Become Family is it's a revenge story. It is right now purely a revenge story. Used as a pawn all her life, pretty much, the female lead has snapped and is currently losing her shit. And that is the best way I can put this. This story is just a female lead loses her shit. And honestly, rightly so, because her original family are fucking annoying. We're currently in the very early conception of this airing, so I think we're only at like 20 or so episodes in, and we've not made much progress. Like, her plan is starting to come together, and you can see where it's going, but it's achingly slow. So this is gonna be maybe just to watch for the time being, because I don't know if it's going to develop. It's classed as like a isekai love type. I don't know if that's just gonna be strictly familial love. Right now it's a C tier. I mean, she's okay, you know? She's like semi-manipulative, semi, but also semi like keeps getting put into situations where she gets into trouble and like she can't really do much except rely on her sudden OP powers. It's got like a secondary kind of reincarnation thing where like she's gone through like an amount of lives, and all of them have been trying to make like her family love her, but then like it kind of like starts making me have to suspend my disbelief too much, and you guys know that I have a level with that where I can deal, which it's like, oh, but we've been brainwashing her, which isn't a spoiler, it comes out relatively early. And it's vengeance, and but really, really soft core vengeance, and for that, it's just kind of like it's not very memorable. It's just kind of exists. I genuinely thought about dropping it recently because I just wasn't really enjoying it, but it's okay. It's okay. It's not terrible. I will definitely only be giving it C tier because it doesn't really deserve more than that. It's subpar at best right now. If once we get the whole like found family dynamic going, it might go up in my ranks. But as of right now, it's staying pretty scorely here because it's just OP daughter gets revenge. And it's not in a good or charming way. It's just one note. And the note isn't repulsive like other ones I've talked about on this list. It's not like T-Duchess levels repulsive, but it's still one note, and it's a bland one. Okay, this is our first tapas original, which is Contractual Marriage to a Surly Duke. So, I will be real. Can We Become Family does not look like a revenge. This does not look like a revenge, but I think it's because it's revenge into then a payoff later on of like, oh, they're gonna like be a family, like she's gonna get sent to this new family or like end up with these new people, and I get that, but right now it's like it's so early and it's taking so long to build that I'm like just getting a little bit bored with it. But yeah, our first tapas original, Contractual Marriage to a Surly Duke. So tips for this one. I like this artist. The art is good. It's not offensive. They don't have the piss blonde hair issue, which in my eyes is good. This is good blonde hair. Not piss. Very good. It's actually charming, and it has an okay story to it. So it's basically our female lead is from a fallen family and has been brought in to produce an heir for this sickly duke. Simple, right? Except he fucking hates this and hates the entire situation around it. So they pretend that they have this happy marriage and that they're baby making. But because obviously it's like a couple of years in and she hasn't like made anything, it's like the mum character who kind of arranged this is getting a bit pressury. She signed an agreement basically, and she basically signed it for the sake of she would like sell her body in exchange for the fact that her fallen family would be protected and they would have money to send her various siblings to school. Which it's fair. She's likable in that sense. She's a little bit damsel in distressy at times, but the comic does a very good job about making her stand up and defend herself in those moments. He still comes in and saves the day from time to time, but she's starting to do a very good job in enacting for herself, which I would like to see more of. If it continues to push her in that direction of it's making her enact things for herself, I think this will be very strong. This is genuinely going to be very strong. On the other note, the romance feels like it's happening way too suddenly. This feels like it would really benefit from a nice slow burn where they resolve their conflicts and then kind of realize their feelings towards each other. But he's already starting to kind of gravitate towards her now because she's, like, not annoying anymore? Question mark. And it's just kind of... it's not there. This definitely falls into the more romance over Isekai, or, like, reincarnation or anything. So I wasn't sure, I was hesitant whether to include it or not. But I genuinely think that this has a lot of potential to be very, very good if they take it the right way. As I said, the art isn't offensive, and even though her design, it feels like they couldn't really commit to whether they wanted to give her short hair or long hair, it's not offensive. It's just okay, you know? It's okay, and I'm about it. I'm here for it. I'm here to just step back and let it be what it needs to be. And you know, it's not bad. It's unique. It's actually unique, which is rare. Is rare in this particular subgenre. So you know, I'd give it at least a B tier. Honestly, it's okay. It's good. It could very easily drop down at any minute if it's not careful. But I don't hate damsel in distress female leads. I don't hate them. Sometimes you need to have them. It's just how the story treats them. If the story just enables it, or if the story, like, goes against it. You know? That's the main thing we need to worry about with stuff like that. Because I have no issue in having, like, a more girly, kind of, like, female one. Alex... oh, thanks, Alex. Alextic. That's it. I want to say long, but I have to work. I'll have to watch the rest of this tonight. Well, if you've already gone, I hope you have a very good day at work, if you are watching this later. But please feel no pressure to. I hope you have had a wonderful time. Yes, I will get into the piss-coloured hair issue soon. Right. Another one that can do blondes, though. Crazy Like a Fox. Whew, I have mixed emotions about this one. This one's a mixed emotion one, and it's gonna be a roller coaster. Right. So you know how I don't really like... okay. I don't like suspending my disbelief more than I have to. This is something that will come up a lot. Crazy Like a Fox is artistically beautiful. It is so pretty. Genuinely, sometimes I think the art is the only thing that is keeping me still reading this, because it is insane. So, female lead over here is from a long line of nobles who are currently all killing each other for the throne. Wild start. Absolutely wild start. And she basically, in her first life, dies because she gets poisoned. Then, for some fucking reason, she comes back and decides, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to pretend to be batshit insane. So they leave me alone till very last. And hopefully, if I bet on the right horse, they won't even kill me. So her entire deal is, I'm going to act so stupid and so... It's not even stupid that she's acting. She's acting like she's gone, like fully insane. Like that she has a mental illness. But of course, because it's medieval times, they treat her like she's stupid. And that annoys me, but I understand the context because it's actually giving context to why it's happening. Which, again, wild start. Then this mage comes, and apparently she's got a high affinity for priestly magic, and priest magic versus mage magic has this whole, like, back and forth going on. So, apparently they should be rivals, but, like, because he vows to protect her, because she's, like, the next reincarnation of the original saintess. Yeah, it gets wild. He agrees to protect her and, like, defend her and stuff. His deal is that he wants to make out with her so that he can suppress the Empress inside of her and suppress her powers so she can never make contact with the Saintess. Which, okay, cool. You have to do that by kissing. You have to do that by kissing, right? Oh my god. And then this is where it gets a little bit hard for me, because recently it's been revealed that this guy is like hundreds and hundreds of years old. And she's 20. Like, I think she's 20. I think she's around like early 20s. And I feel a little bit weird about that. But then they kind of make it okay because the Saintess is also hundreds of years old, and apparently she's been in the making for hundreds of years, which is also really weird. So maybe they're both hundreds of years old and it's fine, but it's never explicitly stated, and that makes me feel weird. Another blatant issue is, at some point, the whole I am insane mentality, like, I can't distinguish where she is acting insane or if she has just been acting for so long that she has become insane. Like, she goes off the rails, which is great to see. I love a feral female lead. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love a feral female lead. We love those moments. But based on her past history and her family being out the door bonkers anyway, it's too much. There's too much going on. The entire time, I'm just sat here like, whoa, okay, so is she acting this up and being super manipulative right now, or has she genuinely begun to lose any semblance of sanity she had left? Where is the line? And that line is blurring. And what scares me is this could actually be a very good story plot point if it is intentional. If this is an intentional thing, this could actually be a very well-written manhwa. And that is also one of the things that keeps me reading it. Because maybe they know what they're doing. Because the art is beautiful. So maybe they have an idea what they're doing with the story. Or maybe it's just crazy. Wait, crazy's in the name. So I'm reading it tentatively. And I don't really know where to put it, because this could either be one of the best things I've ever read, or one of the most insane. And I don't know what to do about that. B tier. B tier. It'd be A tier if I knew. It'd also be A tier if it actually explicitly said whether or not this was weird. Well, actually, it would probably drop down. If it was like this is explicitly both hundreds of years part people playing around with each other, I'd be like, okay, then it's A tier because they're both hundreds of years old. But if they say, oh yeah, this is hundreds of years old and she's like mentality 20, forever mentality 20, yeah, I'd put it down. I'd put it down to F tier. Because maybe E tier. It's weird. Reincarnation ones are weird. I can suspend my disbelief to a certain standard, but he has, like, at times, like, a fatherly attitude towards her, and that's just weird. Oh, I don't like this one. I don't like this one either. I really don't like this one. Okay. You know, when you... Okay. Say you went to a McDonald's and you decided, damn, I really want a salad. You can get a salad, but it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be as good if you just went, like, Subway or somewhere else. It's just gonna be McDonald's chicken on lettuce leaf. And this is how I feel about Demon Queen Wants to Make Peace. It's just bland. It has so much potential. It had so much potential from the cover alone. This looks really fucking cool. But then they make the Demon Queen a damsel in distress character. She's meant to be, like, I get it that she's not evil anymore because it's not her. It's someone, like, isekai'd into the body. But she can't even use or do anything. They've made her into a total damsel in distress for this guy who is apparently in love with her, but not actually her. And it gets super convoluted because I think they realized that they made the main character so disturbingly bland that they then said, oh, we'll notch it up to 100 with the story. And remember what we said earlier, kids. We don't read manhwa for the story itself. We read it for the story if there is genuinely good character archetypes. Because that is what this genre is about. It is inherently romance, so it inherently hinges on the fact that both of the characters are at least somewhat likable. Neither of these characters are likable. It's just not offensive in any way, but it's an E tier. You know what? Just because they don't do piss blonde hair, I'm gonna put it in D tier. Just because they actually know how to do blonde hair and it doesn't look like piss or neon, like how I expect neon yellow to look. That's the only reason why it's getting D tier over E tier. Because that's the only redeeming thing. And the art is okay. It's okay. It's nothing special, but it's okay. So, you know. Yeah. Oh, ho, 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 flirting with the villain's dad. Now this. Gonna slap the roof of this manhwa. This is a good fucking manhwa. Ooh, this is good. Ooh, this is a good fucking manhwa. This manhwa does girly girls and damsel in distresses fucking justice. It's good. It's good. Like, as I said, I do not hate damsel in distress female leads. I think they're somewhat interesting and compelling in romances at times. Because it's like, normal. Yeah, of course an isekai person is going to have no fucking idea what they're doing. But the choices she makes, that she actively makes, are conscious to protect the people she cares about and make sure they are safe. So she's damsel in distress in the situations the story puts her in, but then she shows so much initiative getting out of those issues. And that is why she is a good damsel in distress character. This is charming, it's cute, it's not so much of, usually it's like, oh, the male lead starts to fall first. No, this is absolutely, this female lead is trying to seduce and romance the shit out of this man, and he is having none of it, and it makes for the funniest of interactions, because the only reason he's having none of it is not because she's not magnificently pretty or her personality is the best thing. It's just because he thinks he has insecurities that he's dealing with, but he's actively dealing with them, which is why it's good. She's witty, funny. She literally just spends the entire time flirting with him, and I love that dynamic. This dynamic is fantastic. Basically, the original story was meant to go that he is the villain of the story because he kidnaps her older sister, who was pregnant at the time, and keeps the child and her as like a hostage, like a ransom hostage. So in the moment when it's going to happen again, our female lead decides to step up and make herself the hostage. Which, as I said, she's a damsel in distress through situation, but she realistically navigates herself out of it as a side character would do. Which is great, because that's who she is reincarnated into. She is reincarnated into a side character in this novel. I really genuinely enjoy this. As I said, the story needs a bit of suspension of belief here and there, but not to the point where I feel like I'm being dragged around about it. The art is absolutely phenomenal. It's genuinely gorgeous. They do an amazing job at genuinely making the female lead feel both relatable at times and very, like, emotive, but also very gorgeous in the times that you are meant to be seeing her through the eyes of the male lead. The male lead isn't inherently dislikable, because even though he's the villain later in his life because of the choices that happen earlier in his life. So because it's earlier in his life, he's not inherently, like, forced to become a bastard yet. And it's just very good. It's a very, very good story. And I like it. It's great. It's good. Like, the entire reason she's flirting with him is so that he doesn't get with an abusive woman who just wants a kid out of him, who then that kid becomes, like, the main final villain in the novel that she's in. So she's like, well, I'm gonna flirt with him then because he's attractive and I like him. And honestly, go for it, girl. You fucking nail it. You get your man. She has initiative, she has conscious decisions, She doesn't feel like she's just being thrown around. It's great. She does damsels in distress very well justice. And she's a girly girl that does it well. So, S tier. I really enjoyed this. I haven't finished it yet. I need to. But I can't afford to spend any more ink currently. Hi Tapas, sponsor me please. I understand I am very small of a creator, but please, I sell my left kidney for your manhwa. Okay. Where were we on the list? Alright. For better or for worse. Now, I haven't read much of this. I've only read, like, first 20 chapters. So we're in the perfect conception phase for whether or not I like this. And I like this. The female lead is very charming in the I am a little bastard way. And I love little shit feral female leads. We've established that. I love them. They are great. The male lead, while is meant to be like a stoic kind of like, oh, he's like a bad guy, hoo hoo hoo. He's a villain, but the dynamic they have of just being little shits to each other, so good. So fucking good. It's just like, they argue, they're petty to each other, they're little shits to each other, but it's in a way that you can see them slowly starting to fall in love with each other. And that is so charming. Genuinely, the story is a bit the art is very unique for a manhwa. And yet I am brought back to it, and I do want to read the rest of it. Purely because these two characters have so much genuine adoration for each other, but have that whole jokingly hate each other romance. And I love that. It's funny. It's one of the ones that has genuinely so far made me laugh the most. I can't give it an S tier because I don't know if it stays this good. But from the first chapters alone, it's a very solid A tier. So if you're into like that very witty, banterous kind of like back and forth of a romance, you will genuinely enjoy for better or for worse. And I don't want to say too much about it because it hinges on you loving the characters. So yeah, that's a solid A tier. Very good A tier. Don't know if it stays an A tier, but for me, for now, yes. Right. We're getting into weird territory again. Weird territory. Right. This is one of those family love kind of dynamic ones, which not inherently romance, which is why I called this Isekai love, because I think the romance, there is a romance route for her, and it is like semi-focused on, but I feel like the real sell of this particular subsection of the genre is the found family trope. I think this is needlessly convoluted, and because of that, I have probably dropped it from my circulations. For one, the female lead is like an ex-assassin type who apparently was the lost princess in her like original life, but no one really realized, and then through a change of events in her second life, due to her making a deal with a dragon, made her actually found this time. So this is her dad, and this is the dragon, who is a cat now, to conserve energy. Bonus points in this because she does actually, her romance interest is also sent back in time with her from a different point. So even though it's weird because she knew him as a kid, he's technically the older version of himself. So it's like they're both kind of in that weird reincarnation state, which is, I don't mind that. That's it makes it less weird, you know? It makes it less weird because then they're both in the same situation if they've both been kind of sent back in time. So that gets bonus points for that because I always feel a little bit weird. But inherently speaking, it's not great at either the romance side or the found family trope side. The art is okay. It's pretty, but it's not like fantastic. It gets bonus points because it doesn't use piss yellow, but yeah, it's not something I could see myself reading for an extended amount of time because it's just kind of samey and boring. Which is a shame because the premise is really quite strong. Like, it's a bit of a bonkers premise, but we've seen more bonkers premises work. So, it's just a bit of a sad draw that none of the characters are genuinely charming. If you are gonna read this, like, as a baseline, her twins, her twin brothers are probably the best characters. They actually have a lot of personality to them, and they're not quite as deadpan as the female lead is. It might improve. I just think it's very middle of the road right now. Like, the story is not really there. The characters are one note at times, except for, save, like, a handful of them. Even the romance interests, because they're all kids, is kind of weird. So it's like... It's just... You know that TikTok where it's like, it's mid. It's mid. Everything about it is mid. Which I feel bad for saying, because, like, the character designs are actually kind of cute, but still, it's just mid. There we go. Right. Time travel romance. Definitely not complicated at all. Yeah, it gets pretty complicated pretty quick. Yeah, I mean... I had this on my list, because I definitely read this. But honestly, it is... I could not tell you for the life of me what happens in this, and I think I read like the first season to its fruition, and I probably only read this about 3 months ago, not even, and it's been on hiatus ever since, I'm pretty sure, and I don't remember pretty much anything that happened in this. So I was gonna skip it because it was on my initial list, but I feel like that says a whole lot about the manhwa when I genuinely just think the only thing I remember is, like, their found family dynamic was kind of cute. C tier. It's not creepy, and the hair is not quite piss yellow. So, C tier. I just think that says a lot about it, honestly, which is why I've left it in. The fact that I just can't remember what the fuck happens. Oh my god. Alright. I didn't mean to seduce the male lead. Okay, so this one is a horny one, but not in the fun way. This is just horny. It's not like Baroness on Strike that's kind of funny about it. This is just horny. This is just horny on main. I dropped this because it got past my suspension of belief. I may re-pick it up just because once you get past the whole initial premise of it, it's less weird and less in your face about it. Basically, they think the male lead is gay because he hasn't shown any interest in his fiancée. So they bring in this Baroness, who her entire thing is she does romance and sexual counseling. She's very good at it. So good, in fact, that he falls in love with her to an obsessive point. He is obsessed with her. It is implied they sleep together once. And he is completely obsessed with her. She's just there. Like, at first, like the first chunk of chapters, she's, like, kind of interesting. She's a little bit gatekeepy, gaslighty girl boss, which we like. But then she just kind of, like a napkin in the wind. Like a napkin in the wind, she just fades away. And she's there, but things are just happening to her and around her. I don't know if it gets better, but it peaked at the very start when she was being a gaslight girl boss. Now she's just there. Which like, is she meant to be a reader insert? Is something that crossed my mind. But I don't think she is. Because she has, like, a bit of a girl boss moment later on. And it's okay. It's just kind of horny. And has nothing really else to it. He literally just fell in love with her for that reason. And that says a lot about the male lead, because I don't really know anything other redeeming about the male lead other than the fact of he likes the female lead based off of a couple of interactions and is obsessed with her. So, bit weird. Probably a D tier. I don't get the hype around it. There was a lot of hype around this one, and I get it for the original couple of episodes of it. The hype was justified. But now I just don't see it. Maybe it gets better. Maybe I'll have to pick it up again. But now, it's a D tier. It's not an E tier because, say it with me, boys, the lead doesn't have piss yellow hair. Yeah. It's like it tries really hard to sell the love side more than the sexual side. But the only thing I see that's actually realistic is the sexual side about it. So it's like, okay, well, the love is kind of forced here. I don't think the male lead knows the difference between lust and love. Don't even know if the author does. A napkin in the wind is the lyrics from For Good from Wicked that didn't make it past the final cut. I didn't know that. That's cool. That's really cool. Alright. I did actually see Wicked live. Wicked is very good. I'm a big musical person. Maybe I'll do a musical tier list at some point, but I feel like that one would be controversial because I have a lot of opinions. I dream of health, wealth, and a long life. The original working title for this was I Wish Only to Be a Golden Spoon. And it's weird. It's weird. Right now, where I read up to, it was like the female lead just wants to live a very cushy life and doesn't want to have to worry about much. The male lead sees his sister in her, like, personality wise, and like at first, like, actively, like, thinks like, oh, this could be my sister because I'm in the grieving phase still, and if I tried hard enough, she could be my sister. So if he is the main male lead, as I am predicting, just because of how the phrasing is and how it's setting up, I dropped this because it was just, say with me here, too hard to suspend my disbelief. Also, that's fucking weird. That is so weird. You telling me he goes from seeing her as his actual sister who died, not just like oh, I see him as a sister. It's oh yeah, I see you as my actual sister who died, and that is why you are bringing me trauma to be around. You're telling me they go from that to having an actual, proper, gosh darn relationship? Huh? What? What? Huh? So yeah, Deet here, I guess. Maybe it gets better, but I just couldn't sit through it. I couldn't sit through it. Could not. That's some Sweet Home Alabama shit, and I'm not here for it. That's not tasty. That's not spicy. That's just weird. When you make me feel weird about the romance that I'm reading, I don't want to be to be reading you. Oh. I fell into a reverse harem game is a manhwa, very similar to the other ones we've kind of addressed from this kind of specific genre type. This one's a little bit horny. Not, like, super, but it's there. It's not as in your face as, like, the other two were. But it's basically, she has a reverse harem. She was a bit of a bitch of a princess before she got isekai'd in. And she took lots of concubines who maybe were not totally okay with being concubines. So it's about her isekai version of herself trying not to die and trying to fix the fuck-ups, the kind of crazy, kind of insane, the non-isekai version of the princess made. It's still relatively, like, it's on the darker note, which I enjoy. It's definitely, again, a more adult-aimed one. It's, I like one specific character, and I'm basically only reading it for that specific character. Like, one specific one of the male leads. I don't actually know who... This keeps me on my toes, because I don't actually know who the final male lead is gonna be into this. But I'm hoping it's the boy that I like. Which is good. Usually, in these, you can tell who's the male lead is going to be, because it's like... okay, it's a little bit predictable because this guy gets far more screen time than anyone else ever, or this guy is already in a set-up relationship. But this one, you don't really know. It could really pivot at any point if you're not careful enough. And it's dark enough to the point where it has a lot of triggers attached to it, but it's still comedic at times. It's a solid, like, if you are into like the whole reverse harem things and not really having to pick a side, it does its job well. It's a good manhwa for exactly that. Will I continue reading it? I don't know yet. I think it gets out of my depth with too many male leads because there's so many male leads. And similarly with Japanese manga and harem, like normal harem in that, I struggle to enjoy them because there is just too much like overlap if there's not a clear person. Like, I love the fact that there's not a clear person very early in the conception, but I can very easily see this not picking someone, and I kind of hate that. So, like, I have no issue if even, like, it ends up being, like, I have no issue if it even ends up being, like a poly relationship at the end, as long as, like, it's, like, everyone who wants to be in the poly relationship stays in the poly relationship. That's fine with me. I'm cool with that. But if it stays how it is, where, like, some people just want out and they can't, and there's this weird back and forth story kind of looping because they have to be, because they love her but don't love her, I think that'll kind of annoy me. So it's a very tentative B. I think it's a tentative B, honestly. It's good, but it's a harem. It is a harem. It will do what you want a harem to do. If you like harems, you'll enjoy it. If you don't, you probably won't. This is shaping up rather nicely. Okay, hello. Sorry. Okay, I shall master this family. When this came out, it had a lot of hype around it because it's reincarnation, and the female lead is strong. She is strong. Her relationship with her dad is very wholesome. Her dad is honestly a DILF, and I love him. Yes, I said DILF. He is great. Shush. Fantastic. He's like the kind of like sweet kind of artist type, and it's adorable. Her relationship with her grandfather is kind of on the wholesome side. Her relationship with the rest of her family is kind of like tentative as it was. It kind of still maintains. It doesn't fake the fact that, oh, she makes one decision difference and now everyone loves her. And I appreciate it for that, because she's having to work for the relationships that she had in her past life, as she did in her past life. And she's not just doing one thing and suddenly the people who hated her love her. Some of the people indifferent to her are definitely more like likable towards her because of like a couple of things she's done. But that's just how it goes, you know? You change things, you do. Some people have favorability towards you, especially if they're children. And it's good for that. The found family dynamic is, well, it's literally the family dynamic. It's not even a found family dynamic. It is the family dynamic. It's nice, and she's making subtle differences that a child realistically would be able to make. She doesn't ever step out of her role as a child right now, which I like. She even seems to have like somewhat mentally regressed at times, which, as I said, I enjoy in reincarnation manga because then it makes it feel a little bit less weird. It feels like it has had some kind of mental effect, but not like a total mental effect, you know what I mean? So I like that about it. The overarching story is probably where it starts to get a little bit on the weaker side, because I have no fucking idea what's going on outside of her family. I've read this and I have no fucking idea what's going on. Like, there's a crown prince race as per usual, and people are getting neglected and potentially, trigger warning, abused. But honestly, it could have just been family-centric and, like, problems surrounding the family. And in a way it is, it just... the story isn't quite there yet. And I think it's just because where I've read up to, it's not quite formed. And we're just starting to break out of it just being about the family, so I'm willing to, like, overlook that. But honestly speaking, it's... I think it's manageable. Also, just double checked. The hair doesn't look like piss. We're fine. I couldn't remember if it was this one that the hair kind of looked like piss, but we're fine. No, the character designs are a bit samey, is what my issue with this was. Yeah. The character designs are a little bit samey as well. But, you know, it's okay. It does its job. I can't be mad at it. If you're reading this, you are exclusively reading it for the female lead, and you are reading it for the female lead alone. So, like, I think it's an A tier, honestly. Because the female lead is strong enough to carry it on her own. And this is the first kind of family one that I think is genuinely pretty good. So, yeah. It's good. It's good. She's just a child, you know? And I don't mind that. Okay, the Tyrant Secretary. When I first started reading this, I genuinely really enjoyed it. The female lead is interesting and relatable, and she is basically, my brother was too wimpy to send in his past life, so if I don't step up now, this tyrant will go fucking insane and kill everyone. So she's doing it for that sake, right? He's very obviously in love with her, and it makes sense why, because she's kind of bomb-ass. Like, she's kind of a gaslight girl, gatekeep girl boss kind of character. And I like that for her. She has her shit together. She's well organized, she knows her advantages. She also knows that she knows what she has, and that's great. I like that. But she falls into that cliche that most genuinely strong female characters do, which is, oh, the suspension of disbelief of, oh, I am in a novel and nothing I do will actually have an effect on how the novel changes. Which is just blatantly incorrect, because things are changing around her. Like, things are changing, and now that things are changing, she's losing that, like, adaptability and that, like, thing that made her so strong. Also, they have, like, miscommunication on top of that, and miscommunication is a trope that's nice in some situations, but where it literally feels like it's dismantling the female's character into just her kind of trying to figure out what's going on at the same pace the reader is, just because, oh, there's no way the book could be shifting. Oh, it's, yeah, no, honey, it's okay. It's still charming. The art style is nice. It's a little bit on the unique style, so I kind of like it more. But because of just the whole suspension of disbelief thing, I have to chalk it down to a C. I genuinely kind of dropped this for a bit just because I wasn't really enjoying it because of that. She went from genuinely cool to what the fuck is happening here? What's happening? So, you know, for now, we'll put her in C. But if I go back and read this, it might be more good. Might be better, is what I should say. Not more good. More good. Nope. That's not English. That's not English. Right. Where are we? Okay. Yeah. We're starting to chunk through them now. Oh boy. Okay. Into the light once again. So, female lead's whole deal here is, again, this is a vengeance story. And the romance is probably going to come later on. But right now, it's a vengeance story, which is why I'm confused why it's classed as romance. Basically, she gets killed in her past life as a noble from an opposing, like an opposition, and she gets killed, executed unfairly. Because there is no trial, there is just, she was set up, she got killed. Move on. She then is born into the family of a baby that has just been born of the opposite side to them in the like a Cold War scenario in which neither side wants to really fight first. But they're trying to like do sneaky things to each other. So she's actually born onto the other side of it as a reincarnation, as a second chance. And a chance to get vengeance on her family and fuck them over atrociously. And I'm so ready for it, but it's not really romance. She doesn't even have, like, the male leads options we have are A, her new brother, which is biologically her brother. I don't care what is said, that is biologically her brother, reincarnation or not. Or, like, a guy we've seen once who is her brother's friend. So there's definitely no childhood romance going on here. Unless it is him, and he's quite a bit older than her, which is... I don't know. I don't mind, because it's a reincarnation thing, but it's still just... I don't really know why it's classed as romance, because it feels pretty strictly vengeance. I mean, it's definitely found family, because she's gone from having the shittiest family ever that immediately outcast her, to a genuinely loving family. And it actually does a few things that I haven't seen in Manhwa done before, which is why I'm not going to rank it too low, but it's probably just a C tier right now, because it's not a romance. It's found family and love in that way, but it's not inherently a romance, so... It doesn't feel like it's setting up any romance, is what I mean. Because I'm not expecting, like, her to fall in love with someone because she's a kid. I'm expecting, like... But, like, usually you see a male lead at some point. So, honestly... I'll probably put it in B tier, just because it's keeping me on my toes a little bit, and because it recently did something that I've never seen in a manhwa before. But it's a tentative B tier. It could very easily slip back into a C tier. Yeah. It's that. Right. Where are we at? Right. Okay. We're gonna do My Fair Footman, because this is interesting. This is another subsection of manhwa that is fairly popularized, which is, character cannot reveal the fact that they are a girl for one reason or another. So they are dressed as a boy. This is another subgenre of manhwa that kind of plays to more the people who like kind of like yaoi and stuff, because it's like, it's not quite yaoi, which makes it okay for like the state of how the culture is behind it, but I'd rather just read a gay romance at that point, honestly. And I'm not really a big fan of yaoi either. I'm more like, yaoi can kind of also stray too far into the nonsensical side of stuff. I just like a good male romance if I want to read a male romance. I don't really want it fetishized. My Fair Footman, it's okay. It's Avery. I actually remember her name, which is solid. You know, it's a solid character. If I actually remember her name. I did read this quite a while ago as well. So, unlike the other one that I completely forgot the plot to, you can tell that this is slightly more remnant. I did drop this just because I don't like the fact they force her to have long hair. And that's literally it. Because, like, they have to force feminize her at some points in the story. And it gets really complicated and weird. So it's okay, but it's, like, exclusively a C tier. Like, Avery is the only redeeming quality. Like, the male lead, I don't remember his name. I just remember the fact he was very possessive. Not down for that. Like, okay. Some levels of possessive in manhwa is nice. But when they're kind of crazy about it, gets a little bit weird, and I'm not too on it, you know? Not too on it. I don't really have much to say about this, honestly. It's just cross-dressing romance. There are better, there are worse. Yeah. It's never explicitly said that he should know she's a girl either, which kind of makes it worse, because it's like, oh, okay, so, like, is this gay bait for him? Or is this, like, he's just... It's got that very, like, oh, why do I like him if he's a man? Oh, wait, he's a woman. It's fine. That's why I liked him. Even though that's not... That doesn't make sense at all, because you liked him when you knew he was a man. It's a lot. It's a lot, and it gets so needlessly complicated that my brain is just like, nope. No. No. Yeah, you know how I said, this type of genre can get worse? Yeah, this is just My Fair Footman, but less intriguing. It's just very on the nose about it. In fact, it makes a big deal of making yaoi like art that other characters are fetishizing, imagining, and yeah, no, sorry Tafas, but your original is just a worse My Fair Footman, and it's not good. It's just not good, in my opinion. I am totally aware of the fact that other people can have other opinions, and that's fine, but it's just a worse My Fair Footman, in my opinion. My secretly hot husband! Not really much of a secret, but you know. This is nice. This is one of those ones that starts absolutely batshit bonkers, but then like kind of settles in, and it kind of like, it feels like when they wrote this and started illustrating it, it feels like they started illustrating it, realized how fucking insane that was, and teared it back a little bit, but then forgot after they teared it back and immediately went back to 120. This is like splice romance, but for the name My Secretly Hot Husband, it has way more action in it than I ever expected. And I'm not opposed to that. I'm fine with that. I haven't read a whole lot of it, because when I first read it, it was very early in its like serialization and like translation, but it's just there. Like, it's got a unique premise. The female lead is pretty strong. But like both of them fall into the OP category while still falling into the damsel in distress category. I don't think this knows what it wants to be. It wants to be an action so bad, but it's trying to exclusively be fan service romance. And it's trying to be too many things. It's confused what it wants to be. And for that, I will put it middle of the road C tier, because the characters are kind of interesting and the side characters are kind of interesting. The art's kind of nice. But other than that, it doesn't really have any redeeming factors to it. I actually really enjoyed it when it first started coming out, but the more I reflected on it, the more I was like, yeah, this is just very confused about what it wants to be as a manhwa. It just doesn't know what it wants to be. It's like tries to force action scenes down your throat and like fantasy action. Demons are a thing, goblins are a thing, orcs are a thing. Like, oh, regular things from the regular world that are reincarnated over. So like a can of gas is treated as this ancient thing that is, wow, it's so interesting and ancient. It is from the time before ours, or these weird time travel portals. It gets really convoluted and it just has way too much going on. C tier. It could, if it was just like her flirting with him, I'd be fine. It just tries to be too much. Now, Natsu Wicked Stepmom. I hate the name. Actually kind of love this. For one, female lead. She's great. She's a strong wife. Strong wife. She's girly, and she's like an dress designer, and she just wants to be a good mother. And the dynamic between these two, these two, is genuinely so wholesome and so adorable that I genuinely cannot handle it. It is pure glucose overload. Their interactions are cute. The story goes a little bit crazy at times, because it's like just trying to sell the fact that, oh, she is a good person. It's like, if you just take it at face value for like a mother-daughter thing, it's really wholesome. The male lead is a bastard, like a straight bastard. He doesn't really even interact with his own child, and he blatantly ignores his wife and looks at her with pure disdain. But it actually does a thing that a lot of these don't do when they have bastard leads, and that is they moralize him. And by that I mean they make it so that he is, like in the later chapters, it's got heavy trigger warnings, but you understand why he is a quote-unquote bastard. Which he's not even really. It's just the fact that he's unfortunately taking his trauma out on other people, and he doesn't know how to inherently handle it himself, nor has he ever had the support system to teach him how to. And this, even if the art isn't the most amazing things at times, and even if the story is kind of one note and just this is these characters' lives together, I appreciate it for what it is. I genuinely appreciate it for what it is. This does a really good job at just humanizing the characters. They're all so very human, and they all have their own set of issues that they're trying to work through, and they're just trying to be better parents for this kid. And I love it. There's also, like, a really good narrative about being, like, body confident of all things, and going against, like, the trend of, oh god, I hate my body. And I like that. I like that so much. And it also addresses a big thing of, like, oh, how kids are expected to diet. And I like it. It's very good. It's very good. It doesn't have much substance in story. And I say they don't need that, and I genuinely mean they don't need that, so I'd give it an A tier. The only reason why it's not an S tier is there just isn't enough of it to know if it's gonna stay this good. But if it stays this good and it continues dealing with trauma how it's dealing with trauma now, I think it's a really strong contender to go into my S tiers. Because it's charming, it's witty, it's found family, and it is showing that families can be all kinds of messed up, but if you really try hard enough, you can make things better for your kid. You can break the cycle. And I like that. He does have his own issue. This is what I say. Like, he's painted as... So the reason why I say that is it's typical a genre in this, especially within this genre, for, like, poorer manhwas to have, to just kind of write guys off as, oh, they are bastards, but now they're not because one thing changed, and you have to suspend your belief for it. But this doesn't make me suspend my belief for it. It does a really good job of, like, showing and developing his trauma and how he's going to process that. He's just going through a lot because he's never really had a support network there, and you can tell. And so this is a very trigger-heavy one, but it's so very wholesome, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's so good. But yeah, that's why it's A tier for me. Getting my files open because I accidentally closed them before when I was having a passionate rant about how I like this one. Oh boy, Roxana, we're here already, are we? Okay, before anyone mauls me, I must be frank, I do like Roxana as a manhwa. Please? Hold. But holy shit, everyone in this manhwa is fucking insane. Genuinely, everyone in this manhwa is just spiraling off of the cup of sanity. Like, I'm pretty sure a couple of them have, like, unaddressed mental illnesses. I'm pretty sure that Roxana herself has, like, very deep-rooted depression and is just masking it by generally throwing her sanity to the side, which is not good. This is so much. It's so much to process. And I've seen a lot of people say they really enjoy this one because it's very, like, bleak. And it's very, like, oh, it's bleak. It's down. It's like, it's not your usual romance. But holy shit. Holy shit, this has some dark topics, and that's not what I'm personally looking for in a manhwa. If you're really into like dark, kind of gloomy romances that like are kind of slow build and like have a lot of like trauma like bonding in them, you'll enjoy this. Or if you just like, if you like kind of crazy characters, you'll enjoy it. It's great. I'm not personally like super big on it. I read manhwa to like kind of be like, I'm more about the slice of life cutesy romances, so that's why this just isn't for me. But I see the genuine value in this as a story. It's very, very trigger happy and very intense. It's so very intense. It gives me the same kind of blown away feeling that Crazy Like a Fox does, but it is more intense than that. Basically, similar kind of concept of family is bastards to each other to ensure they only the most powerful survive. And that is bound to have bad effects on how those people interact. There's also a weird kind of sibling undertone. Like, it's kind of gets a bit weird with that as well. But I think it's one of those manhwas that is like forcibly making you uncomfortable. So I value it in that range, but it's probably only a C tier for me because it's not what I'm looking for in a manhwa. But I do appreciate that it's a very highly rated one for some people. I have my type. Which is, it's super edgy. Is a small cow winning? Winning some, losing others. I have almost no context to any of these. I heard the title and instantly thought the song Rosanna by Toto. I see, that's fair. I'm cutting off my engagement with you at the coming of age ceremony because I'm cheating on you with your adopted sister / best friend. I am just, yeah, that is our manhwa. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that is our manhwa. Hey, that's almost a normal distribution. Oh, not soon. Why is Small Cow crying? Probably because I knocked my button. That's probably why. And now it's not turning off. Can you please turn off? Hello? No, it's decided it's stuck. It has decided it is stuck, so please give me a minute. Yeah, I didn't realize it had turned that on. For some reason, BRB Studio just likes to, ooh, careful, just likes to just stick on some of the emotions that I have, and then never do anything about them again. Okay, I've gone into the ether. Whoa, I'm into the ether. Goodbye. But yes, yeah. I was probably crying about one of the manhwa earlier, and as such, eternally crying. Eternally crying because some of these manhwa make me kind of uncomfortable. Okay, right. Hello. Oh, I should. Oh, I turned it off. I actually turned it off. Good job, me. Okay, great. I'm turning it back on. I miss Hayano. I can still hear the sound of her voice. Oh, wait. She's back. Nope, she's not back. Is she back? Hello? Yes, I'm back. Hello. Green fade. Okay, hello. Buenos dias. Okay, right. Where were we? We were starting to get towards the end of our list, actually, which is good. We were starting to get towards the end. That's so nice. We're doing it, gang. We're doing it. Oh. Yeah, okay. I see where we're at. Right. This one doesn't have a title because apparently it wouldn't let me save the cover of it. But this is The Fake Lady and Her Rabbit Duke. And it's another weird one. It's another weird one. Female lead is forced to be pretending to be because she has the same correct eye color as the Duke's child. She's like forced into pretending to be, I think, a dead child. And she finds this bunny one day, but oh no, the bunny is actually like a pretty important Duke who true love's kiss or something. I read this and I really wasn't into it and like dropped it almost instantly. I think I got like 20 chapters in and I dropped it because he was like, oh, I'm not going to tell her because she'll stop giving me affection in bunny form. Huh? You're just not gonna tell her you are the bunny even though you have a choice? You're gonna manipulate this girl into giving you more energy because you've realized that, like, she gives you energy, so she must be your true love in some way. Therefore, you're going to manipulate her? Huh? It's weird. It's weird and I don't get it. So, it's going in detail. It's weird, I don't get it, and it's going in detail. That's all I have to say about this. Genuinely, all I have to say about this is a thing. Oh, thank you, I am back. Have no fear. But yeah, going in detail because I'm past it. I ain't putting up with this anymore. I'm putting up with this. The male lead's little lion daughter. I don't know why this shows up in romance because it doesn't feel like it's gonna be a romance. I mean, there's a lot of potential to set up for one, but similar to Into the Light again, there's no set up romance right now because it's just like the kid portion of the life. So I guess I get why it's put in romance if there'll be a romance later on, but it's a unique take on the whole Isekai thing because it's written at first from the father's point of view, and then switches over to the daughter's point of view, the female lead, after a good chunk of chapters, and then it kind of slowly reveals that she is in fact isekai'd. So it's unique for that. It's a unique isekai for that. It definitely does a really good job at showing how both of them feel. They have a not your usual parental relationship kind of deal going on. They feel more like siblings at times, but when it comes down to it and they really need to step up for especially if he really needs to step up for her, he can be very much like a dad figure. And this is something that is currently in my reading rotations because I just think it's very wholesome. I actually very much enjoy it, and I'm not going to complain about it because it's nice. That's how I feel about it. I'm probably gonna stick it in. I think I'll probably stick it in A tier because I'm genuine. I do think it's genuinely good. The only reason I might stick it down to B tier is again just because it's not your traditional romance, and if you're looking for a romance, it wouldn't be here. So I guess B tier for that, but it's still familial love, and it's still like pretty important. So I guess we'll stick it B tier. It's charming. It's charming. It's very charming. Right. I suppose we have 3 more to do. Is it 3 more? 4 more. 4 more. I can't count. This isn't like an extensive guide. There's still like quite a few that I'm missing that I have read that I haven't like included in this list. But that's just because like I maybe don't have a whole lot to say about them. So it's kind of hard. Now, this entire time I've been saying it gets extra points because it doesn't have piss level. It doesn't have piss coloured hair. This is the manhwa in which one of the leads has bright piss level hair. And I don't even think he should be a lead. Yeah, he's probably not the main lead because, like, just how the setup is working, we can probably tell he's not the main lead. But he has piss-coloured hair. I will briefly find an image of this just for context. Which is my general issue with this, actually. I love this from a story point of view because, as we know, and we will say it again, I absolutely adore strong female leads. They are great. They are fantastic, in fact. I do very much love them. It's not coming up, which is annoying. Yeah, so... Right. So the deal with villainesses have more fun is, for one, I will place this here so you understand what I'm saying. It's like a neon piss yellow, and I don't like it, for one. But he's a kid, so I'll let him off, but he's also kind of not and manipulative, so we won't let him off. The issue with this is I love strong female leads. I absolutely do love strong female leads, and that's never been my issue with this. It's just that everyone around the female lead is kind of subpar, and it's not one of those ones where the story and like the story, the art, and it's not one of those ones that the story, the art, and the generalized like character dynamics can support her. I feel like everything's missing. Like, there isn't really a great story. All of the characters are kind of around her are kind of shitty in some way. She's only really like the really strong character in it because she's basically saying F you to everyone. So I don't want to say the art isn't strong, because it doesn't have the same issue as T-Duchess does, where the anatomy feels incredibly off at times. But it does have the issue that I don't believe that the artist for this has a very strong concept of colour theory. Because the colours are far too saturated, far too intense. Your eyes don't know where to look, and that's not good in a down scroll comic. Even with this, there is so much to look at that I feel overwhelmed with as a cover. The colours are so saturated and clashing. Blue and yellow are like like opposite colors, so usually they go quite well together, like in standing out. But this is so intense and such a standout because it's so heavy on the yellow that it just feels like simply too much. It feels like it feels opulent to look at, which is fair for the character, but the color theory doesn't get too much better throughout the actual story, and all of the characters feel a little bit one note because of it. Like the side characters, they all feel like they have their own distributed color TM. If they are important, they have a color, and it takes color theory. It takes the worst parts of color theory and does not. It feels like it's a very like base level understanding about it, which is the biggest issue I have. So it just feels like there is this great female lead who is charming and kind of like a little bit on the dozy side, but you don't mind. But everything around her is kind of wishy-washy. So it's not that I hate it, I just don't think it's particularly strong. And for that, I will probably put it in D tier. Wait, hold on. Not his face. Just the actual thing, please. Thank you. But yeah, I will probably put it in D tier just because of that. I don't mean to... I think it, as I said, it takes a whole lot of fucking work to do a manhwa. And it takes, like, it takes so much effort to put in. And I am totally, like, I'm very, very aware of that fact and appreciative of the fact that it takes time. It takes a whole lot of time. And I'm thankful for the people who invest their time into making these stories. But at the same time, it needs to be honestly said when something isn't good, because otherwise that person is never going to improve. Highly doubt the author of that will ever see this, but if you do, I love your art style. You just need to work on your color theory and maybe have stronger stories around characters. Because I'm the first person who will say that characters can bring an entire thing together. Like, character dynamics are the most important thing in romance manhwa, to me. But if you have one character that's genuinely well written and everyone else is kind of lagging behind, it becomes really noticeable. No hate, no shade, just there's not much depth here. Right. Now I've finished my little rant about that. Where are we? We are at Villains Are Destined to Die, which is another slightly morbid one. This was again, like in the very first kind of chunk of manhwa that I read. This and we covered it earlier. My baseline. The villainess wants a divorce. Yeah. This is good. I like this. The art style is what carries this. Now, it's not in the same way as... Honestly, if this was a tier list on art style alone, Crazy Like a Fox would be absolute top. This is probably like a solid A tier just for art alone. This is a very hit or miss one for people. I personally like Penelope. I think she is a unique enough female lead that she stands out on her own enough. A lot of people don't actually like her as a female lead, and I understand why. She is, she's smart and quick thinking, but she falls into that, that mindset that the story is going to be the same no matter what happens. And that's honestly why, like, in the past, I've graded some of these down. The only reason I'm not going to grade this down is because she still understands that from the very start of her bleak existence, but tries her best to change it anyway. Now, I've only really read up to the first, like, 50 chapters or so. I don't know if it falls off, but within the first 50 chapters, like, the first, I believe it's the first season, I don't know, she's strong, she's strong-willed, she wants to live, and I appreciate that of her. I feel like she is the only person that is genuinely I feel like she's the only main character right now. The people around her are just side characters around her to employ her, employ, like, how she reacts to things. They create the situations that she reacts to. And she's very unique with them. She's very powerful, and if you're going to read this for anything, know that it is quite bleak. She's not crazy, which is fun. So it's not like she's snapped and gone completely insane because of it. She does have her moments of going a bit feral, though. And as we know, I do love my feral female leads. I do think it's setting up very well, but it's whether or not this continues. Because right now, I don't know if the story is strong enough for it to reliably be an S tier based on just the story, just based on just the art, just the story around Penelope and her character dynamic. So for me, I would like to tentatively put this as an S tier, but it could very easily drop down the more I read it. As I said, the art is absolutely phenomenal. If you're looking for something to genuinely look into, like, how, like, hair can be done beautifully, especially in how outfits are designed, this is such a good artistic example of that. It is gorgeous. But is art enough to carry someone else through this? I don't know. Penelope and art for me, that's where it is. I do like how some of the other characters are portrayed because they seem to have some level of humanization to them where they're not... Well, some of them are just bastards, but other ones are not. It just depends if it grows and continues to stay that way. This is a very much a... I like it, and it's probably an S tier for me, but it could immediately drop at any minute because it's on such thin ice. It is on thin ice. For those who don't really know much about this, it is an otome game isekai, so she has been isekai'd into the world of a villain in an otome game, so she is always destined to die. Her route, it is notoriously terrible to try and stay alive in. So when she found out, she was rightfully upset because people can't stay alive in this route. But she's trying her best to do so anyway. So, hopefully. I hope it doesn't get too gloomy either. So, tentative S tier. I think we're gonna finish off with another S tier, actually. Or do we have one more before that? I think we have one more before that, actually. What's the last one before this? Yes, we have one more before it, actually. This is The Tyrant's Sister. And again, this was one of the kind of first batch of ones that I genuinely quite got into. It was really interesting. The female lead in this carries it. the female lead, similar to what is it? Similar to, I'm trying to think. I've gone through that many today. Similar to For Better or For Worse, the leads both have like quite a bantering relationship of like that kind of like back and forth, kind of charming, kind of nice, like will they, won't they actually fall in love? Which is, it's really charming, and I really do like it. The female lead is that same, as I keep saying, that same little shit energy that Beware the Villainess has. And it has a really strong like family kind of dynamic in it as well. However, I did drop this because I just got a bit bored of it. It would be an S tier. The art is pretty and unique. The dynamics are really strong. The female lead is quite strong, but there was just something, and I can't put my finger on it even now, but there was just something that I dropped it for because I just think I wasn't enjoying it in some way. And I think it's imperative that I go back and read this so that I know why it's not an S tier. But I think it's a solid A tier. But I think I still need to totally figure out why this, in my eyes, is not more than an A tier. I think it's because I felt like it was starting to like drag on certain plot points a little bit, because it didn't seem like it knew where the story was going, and that's why I dropped it. But I really need to do a little bit more research into why to be like completely sure, because really this is quite gorgeous. So, I prefer how they draw female characters to male characters, though. I will say that. Hold on. Didn't hold shift for long enough. Now it's squished. Alright. And now, our last, but certainly not least, I wanted to finish on a strong. And we are gonna finish on possibly my favorite manhwa on this entire list. Like, on this entire list, like, I'd say, like, Flirting with the Villain's Dad is, like, a solid second place. But we're about to drop into my favorite manhwa. This is, like, my number one top spot, and this is gonna be an auto S rank. So, that's not even on for deliberation. The Villainess Flips the Script. This is such a good manhwa. This is such a good manhwa. Holy shit. Oh my god, it is so good. Right. Let's just start off with Judith, shall we? Isekai cannot bring herself to be a dick to a child. We love that for her, because in her past life she was very obviously a dick to a child. Well, no, not in her past life. In Judith, before she was Isekai in the book, was obviously very much a dick to her to the child. Judith is not like that. She's a great mother figure. She's strong-willed. She is sassy. She is relatable, and she is just trying her best to navigate all of the shit that's being thrown at her. She's doing so fucking good at it. It is there. I love little shit female leads, and I love feral female leads, but some of the best female leads are the ones who are adapting to every situation that is unfolding in front of them. She is so quick on her feet. Even just her natural instincts make for hilarious moments. And she's so well put together, and she picks up on what other people are putting down. She is such a smart female lead, and I love her for it. Also, her insecurities don't magically evaporate, nor do they inhibit her from still trying her best. She tries her best despite them, and still acknowledges that they are there. And I appreciate the fuck out of her as a female lead for that. Just, mwah, beautiful. The art is so fucking good. I love this style. It's so clean. It's not overly in your face. It's simple to the point where the story can, like, if the story needs to step in and take a heavier presence, the art does not take away from it. The art simply adds to it. It's clean, it's well done, it's beautifully coloured. The colour palettes are beyond insane. I am just absolutely here for the colour palettes. I cannot, like, if I were to nerd out about how nice this palette is and how complementary the colours are to each other, just even, like, the Rudiger and Judith, Rudiger is the male lead, just them interacting and how, like, they contrast but still kind of, like, complement each other in, like, their clothing styles and their colour palettes. Everything is so well considered. And I just love it. The story is intriguing. I don't honestly know where we're going with it, which is fucking fantastic. I love being kept on my toes. Not because it's going bonkers or anything, but just because there's a lot of slow adding things that are adding lots of questions. It's like this slow piling amount of questions because some things just aren't adding up as they should be. That's so good. That is so nice. It's absolutely enchanting to read. It is one of those ones that I am actively so excited for when it comes back off of hiatus, because I hope it stays this good. It's not super far into its translation yet, so I'm tentative with it, but I genuinely love it so much that they'd really have to fuck up for me to not like it anymore. Rudiger is super charming and super hilarious and super supportive of Judith, and their interactions are some of the funniest because they're so awkward but so very relatable at the same time. And Luca is just a little gromlin. He is a little baby gromlin, and I love it. I love the found family of it. The found family is S tier. The interactions and family dynamics are so good. I cannot sing its praises enough. It is like my top manhwa right now. It's so good. It is so good. I'm such a nerd about it. So yeah, this is my favorite and my big S tier. If I had an SS column, it would absolutely go into the SS column, but I don't have an SS column, so it's staying here. But I love it. It's so great. It's so great. Oh. How can one not be a mean person to a child? I'm not even isekai'd to an Otome game as a villainess, and I have no trouble with it. Oh, yeah, I get that, but like, it's a big villain thing to like, oh, and they're mean to children as like an extra thing, you know? It comes up a lot. Hi, Sammy! Hello! We're doing fine. We just about wrapped up our tier list, I believe, so I will display it. So we will be ending stream, unfortunately, soon. But here is my tier list of semi-recent manhwa that I've read. There are a lot more that I've dipped my toes into and would definitely adore talking about, But honestly, the stream is getting very long, and I did not expect to have this many opinions. So I will leave it here. I will gladly leave it here. But trust me, I have a lot. Oh no, it's no longer a normal distribution. It was never gonna be a normal distribution. It's me we're talking about. I have too much love for these things. But yes. So, yes, if you have any other questions, this is my official recommendations, and I am so correct. I am only correct. I will not be taking any criticism. I'm kidding. I will, in fact, be taking much criticism when people are like, yo, your opinion is fucking wrong about this. And I'll be like, you know what? Fair. But thank you so much to everyone who came out today. It was a lot of fun hanging out with you. Sorry that I kind of went off on a tangent, honestly, because I had so many opinions about this. So very many opinions. So next time I will be streaming will be on Friday, to which I will be doing a Smash or Pass on Pokemon. And I will be... I'll be streaming like a slightly shorter stream. So that's how it will be. Well, I assume it'll be a slightly shorter stream than this, because this is like 3 hours, but maybe it'll be longer. Maybe I'll have more to say about Pokemon than I do Manhwa. Maybe. But yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you so much to everyone who decided to come out today and sit through this kind of rambly, more podcasty kind of setup, less gameplay. I'd like to do at least one of these per week where I just hang out with you guys and talk about the various opinions I have. But yes, what I will say is thank you so much for coming out. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do. It genuinely helps a lot. It's how I grow and know that you guys want me to keep doing stuff like this. Also, if you liked it, maybe hit the like button, and I maybe will do more tier list streams. I'm just still figuring out what I'm doing at this point, honestly. So just let me know. I'm always down for being yelled at, like, hey, please do more of this, or don't do this, please. And to which I'll be, if I want to do it, I'll be like, no. Alright, thank you so much to everyone, and I will see you all in a bit.